it downfield. It is. Oh, it's caught. John Moran in the clutch. Oh, my word. Oh, my God. Deep to right field. Way up there. And way down the sideline. Jefferson. Another huge run. Jalen Red broke tackle. Stayed on his feet.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Blake's Take, and Ben Simmons has become quite the problem for the Philadelphia 76ers organization. Their former number one overall pick and three-time All-Star guard is now demanding a trade and will not report to training camp next week. The interesting thing about this situation is that usually when players hold out is because they're trying to force a trade and the team wants to keep them. In this case, the Sixers are happy to move on from Simmons. The problem is they have zero trade leverage in trade negotiations. During trade talks earlier this offseason, the Sixers had way too high of an asking price, which is why they ultimately didn't get a deal done. Although Simmons is a top young talent, his extreme shooting struggles as of late have put his ability to contribute on a championship team into question. The Sixers remain intent on trying to convince Simmons to report to camp, and he still plans not to attend, which is bound to leave an elephant in the room come training camp with his absence. The tension between Simmons and the franchise is nothing new, though. Back during the James Harden trade talks, Simmons was named a prospect in a potential trade package to receive Harden. Obviously, the trade never went through, and Harden ended up in the best situation possible. But the fact that Simmons was even considered in trade talks rubbed him the wrong way. But as we all saw, this thing came to a peak when Simmons humiliated himself on national television with his inability to shoot, let alone his unwillingness to shoot. The Sixers definitely do not have to trade him, as he is currently under contract for 4 more years for a big payout of $177 million. And although he may want out, Doc Rivers stated that the team would love to get him back for the upcoming season. Despite their perceived differences, the Sixers are definitely willing to work with Simmons to grow as a player, but obviously Simmons has shown that his work ethic lacks in trying to get better. Obviously, it's definitely got to start at the free throw line, where he was a disasterful 34% from the line during this 2021 postseason. The worst in a single postseason in NBA history. Not even Shaq could shoot that terribly. The difference between Shaq and Ben Simmons is that Shaq had already won several NBA titles and was dominating the game of basketball, and he didn't really need to shoot free throws, and they hadn't become a liability until later on in his career. Simmons, on the other hand, is an up-and-coming prime end of his career player and has a lot more left to give and is more important to his career and more critical a time in his career because he has not won a championship yet. And his teammates are in a critical time in their careers as well. Joel Embiid, arguably the best center in the league. Tobias Harris, a solid contributor at the 2 spot. Seth Curry and Danny Green, some of the most impactful role players in the game. For me, the trust the process is wearing out, and it is time to make a championship-level move in a blockbuster trade for Ben Simmons. I don't know how or what kind of return they're going to get, but it's going to be difficult. It is really a lose-lose situation for him at this point. Either he undesirably reports to the team and plays until a trade is put together, or he could hold out and risk missing out on enormous amounts of money throughout a combination of suspensions and or consequential fines. Ultimately, it comes down to how much money Simmons is willing to forfeit by staying away from the team. If he's fine with losing a sizable chunk of cash that he could otherwise be entitled to, then perhaps his absence will be extended for a longer period of time. If not, then perhaps he'll return to the team and make the best of the situation until a trade is inevitably made. This is a rough situation in Philadelphia from both sides. I understand where the Sixers are coming from. They definitely they know that Simmons cannot shoot and is not willing to put in the work. They've tried to help him grow as a player, bringing coaches, but it's got to start. And the only person that can make him better is him. And if he's not willing to do that, then the Sixers have to definitely move on, but it's going to be hard. Their asking price for him when they were trying to make trades this offseason was just way too high. They're going to have to lower the price a little bit. Yeah, I know they're not going to be able to get the return, but they're going to get a solid return, but they're not going to get the return they're wanting right now with a combination of high draft picks and some solid players. They're going to have to lower that down to maybe just a couple draft picks or just a single solid good role player like CJ McCollum from our True Blazers. Although we may not want to see him go on, we could trade him for CJ McCollum and or like a first round draft pick. I think that would be a solid fair trade, or a couple other draft picks, a couple other role players to the Blazers. And we also have a trade that could go through with the Warriors with an Andrew Wiggins potential trade that could go through, as well as some other role players and draft picks that could go along as well. But it can't be this humongous trade with 3 first-round draft picks and a bunch of role players like Andrew Wiggins and others. That's just not going to work. They have to lower their asking price if they want to get deal done, or they're going to be stuck in a spot without a great defender, second in the Defensive Player of the Year voting. They're going to either be with him, and he's going to be frustrated as all get out, or they're going to be without him, and they're just not going to have any replacements. So we'll see how this thing plays out. Hope you all enjoyed my take on that. You can catch all of it and more on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and or YouTube. I will see you all in the next one. Have a fantastic day.